Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be remaking a bed that I started for a project a long time ago, and the project just never happened and the bed never got finished. So we'll be doing that. But before that, I want to do a little show and tell with you. My daughter and son-in-law recently went down to Florida. It was a vacation they'd saved for and got to go, and while we were down there she found me a couple little things, and I just wanted to share them with you because they made me so happy. So one of the things they went to while they were down there was the Ernest Hemingway house, and she got me this little cat. I mean, he is so adorable. She knows I love cats, and in their pictures from the Ernest Hemingway house there were a lot of pictures of cats, and she explained to me that the cats that roam around down there are descendants of Ernest Hemingway's actual cats. So that's kind of cool. But I just love this little guy. He's so cute. And he just made me so happy. Look at that face. He just makes me smile. And he's got a little lizard on his one side. Just cute. So then she got me a couple of other things. She knows that that I'm doing my doll houses, and that the Beacon Hill, the gentleman that lives there, he's into nature and all that kind of stuff. So thinking of my doll house, if I ever get it done. Well, okay, first I have this. I wanted a shell really bad, and I didn't want to disrupt her vacation. Asked her, hey, when you go to the beach, can you bring me a shell? And anyway, she must have read my mind or something, because she got me a shell, and it is just like, I'm going to show it in a minute. I'm sitting here talking. It is just the most beautiful, delicate shell. It's so pretty. I love it. I know it's just white, but look at the little spikies on it. I'm not sure what kind of sea creature this came from, but I was really, really excited to get it because I really wanted a shell. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it, but I'll figure out something. So anyway, the next thing she got me, and this was with the dollhouse in mind, are these two little bitty things. And the whole time I'm taking stuff out of this bag, I'm like really worried that I'm probably going to lose the one, but I don't. She had them in a separate bag. And I'm glad she did, because had it been in the big bag, I probably would have lost it. So the first thing she got me was this little piece of coral. I really like the way it branches out like that. I'll be putting a base on there, or like a little base, and I'll be gluing the piece of coral to that. And he will have it somewhere among all of his other treasures in his study. So I was really, really excited to get that little piece of coral. And she brought back, stuff for herself too, but yeah. It's just so cool of her to think of me in my dollhouse. Now this one is going to be really hard for you to see. It's very hard to see in real life, but it is the tiniest shell. And it does have designs on it, but you can barely see them. They're just so little. And yeah, I'm so scared I'm going to lose this. Seems like everywhere she goes now, she brings me back something that'll work in the dollhouse. Last time they'd been out to Colorado and got some geodes, and they cracked them open, and there were little shards, and so she gave me a little shard of the geode. So yeah, those were just some really nice, happy little unexpected gifts. Now, I just need to put this where I won't lose it. Okay, so here's the bed that I'm going to be remaking. The headboard is rather floppy, so I've got to secure that up. And there was a footboard, and I tried to get it off because it just didn't look right. And I ended up breaking it off, but it broke even. So all I had to do was a little bit of sanding. So I'm going to be using some cardstock on it. And I've cut my wood pieces. They're in piles on the side of the bed they go to, just in case, one side might be a little bit bigger than the other, which I did find out as I went was the case. So I kept those separated, and I'm just going to get an old piece of the cardstock and I'm going to put my glue on that. I will be using Gorilla Wood Glue for this project because I really want this to hold together. And so I'm just getting the glue laid down there. I'll be grabbing a toothpick and we'll start putting this bed together. Had to clean off the glue bottle. I find it doesn't clog up as bad that way. So now I'm just getting my toothpick so we can start gluing. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm taking these two little pieces of wood and I'm just going to be applying glue to two sides. And you won't be able to see some of what I'm doing due to the camera angle, but I will show you. Now these little pieces are very small, but they're going to really help secure up this headboard. So where I'm putting them in is I have the headboard divided into rectangles, and I'm just putting them at the base of the rectangles on the bottom. They're not going to show anyway. And now I'm just going to do that on the other side also. Get my junk out of the way there. So again, I'm just applying the glue to two sides of this little piece of wood. This is not a tutorial. This is just me reconstructing this bed into something useful. And this is going to go in the guest room of Grandma's house. We haven't done anything with Grandma's house for a while, and it's time we got that finished up. Of course, you know, it'll never be finished because dollhouses are, you know, they're never done. And it's still a little floppy. I'm just pushing those down and making sure I have them in the right spot. And tip the bed back up. Yeah, I kind of pulled on a little bit there. I shouldn't have. But it all works out in the end. Now I'm just holding it so that it'll be straight. And I'm just pushing it back and making sure it's straight, making sure everything is staying where it's supposed to. It's really not a spot where I can clamp anything onto. So now while I'm waiting for the headboard to dry, I'm going to start working on these little pieces of cardstock that I have. And I've got two little pieces of paper there. And the paper is the wallpaper, a piece of the wallpaper I used in the girls' room in the farmhouse. And speaking of the farmhouse, I am slowly getting there with the floors. I said I was going to take a break from filming in it because we really need to get the rooms finished up so we can get the family moved in. So now I'm just gluing this cardstock to these little squares of the paper that I cut out. So I'm just making sure I get a nice thin layer of glue with no, you know, big blobs or anything in it because I don't want these to come out lumpy. And then I'm just going to press them down onto the back side of the paper. So then I'm going to make sure that the front side also, thought about that, thought maybe I better press it down from the front too, just to make sure we don't have any bubbles. Let's get some stuff out of the way I had sanded earlier. So now I'm just going to be trimming down these sides because I don't need that much paper. And I'm sorry about my voice. I'm still sick from this stuff. Oh my God, Rob got up about 4 o'clock in the morning. He was coughing so bad. So I hope he's okay. He's not feeling good. He's sleeping, and that's fine because he was coughing really bad and really hard. I had that too a couple days ago. And it's like you just can't stop. So now I'm just trimming across the corners, trying to get that, I guess it would be a 45-degree angle, which is kind of hard when you're guessing, but I didn't do too bad. I remember doing this back when I used to do paper crafts and stuff and making books and that, mini albums, and you know, I really miss it, but I love my miniatures too, so. And I can always make books or journals for family or friends if I want to. So I'm just doing the same now with the other piece. Just trimming the sides down. And then I'll be cutting the corners also on this. I have to say I didn't do too bad on the corners, but there were a couple. So I'm just going to clear up my paper scraps here. And then I'm gonna, okay, so I don't know why I zoomed in more, but yeah, now I'm regluing to the right spot and just putting glue on the end and a little bit on the side. And now I'm putting it where it should be on the little bed. Just making sure that I have it lined up with the edge of the bed. And since the rooms in Grandma's house are pretty small, this bed takes up quite a lot of space. We'll still have room for a couple pieces of furniture to go in there, but yeah, it takes up a lot of space. So now I'm just doing the other leg, and I know you can't see that, but just doing the same thing, putting it down there in the corner, getting it all lined up, making sure everything looks straight and even. Alright, so I've let those legs dry and they look good, they're in the right spot, and I put the bed up. Of course it's not sitting straight because I don't have the leg parts on the headboard yet. But first, before I do that, I've got a couple little strips I want to glue down the side of the bed. As I said, this was originally going to be a way different bed for a way different project. So, to make it for this project, for Grandma's house, I decided that I needed to add a few little things here, and this also will help me keep the legs on. So I'm just putting these little thin strips, and they're 1/8 inch balsa wood. I'm just putting them down the sides of the headboard. So I'm just applying the glue to the one side. And then I'm gluing that in place. And this really isn't something that's really noticeable on the bed when you look at it, but it was just necessary to help with the legs. So I'm just lining those up and making sure they're stuck good. And then I'm going to grab this long piece and put it across the top. Now the long piece also sits down. There's just a little bit of the headboard that sticks up above the rectangles I made, and because I added the pieces on the side, I'm also adding this piece to the top of the bed. cleaning up my glue there and setting it to the side. And now I'm going to be applying glue to the headboard itself, and I've got to get it down in that little groove, and it's kind of difficult. All of my wood I used on here was really narrow wood, and so the little groove is not quite 1/8 of an inch. So just making sure I get enough in there that it's really going to hold this little piece of wood on. And this bed doesn't end up perfect, but you know, in keeping with the theme of Grandma's house, where it's old stuff that, you know, is too good to throw out, we're using it. So now I'm just gluing that across the top, making sure I have my ends lined up with the ends of the headboard so I don't have anything sticking over. And it's kind of tricky to get that piece in place. So I feel that I've got it pretty good, and I'm just going to get some painter's tape because I'm going to tape it down and let it dry good. So I've got the painter's tape, and I'm just going to stick it over the top to hold that little piece of wood on. And I'm putting a piece of both ends, and then I'm going to put a piece in the middle to hold it. Okay, now we just gotta let it sit and the glue to dry. I'm just kind of tipping it up to show you. It's hard because the shadow from the slats makes it look like there's way more boards going across the top of front of the headboard. So now I'm to the point where I'm going to be gluing the ends of the headboard, which will also act as legs onto the little bed. So I'm getting some glue out and grabbing paper towel because I've got glue on me, and I've got a ruler down here. I'll be getting one, and what I want to do is I want to mark out my 1/2 inch marks so that I'm all lined up straight when I go to put these legs on. So I'm just making marks right onto the square dowel where I want the legs to sit. Okay, so I'm kind of working around the bed here, so you can see what I'm doing. A little off camera, sorry. I'm just applying glue to one side of the leg down to where I have that 1/2 inch mark. And I do make a mistake on this. I realized that I had the side pieces too big, and I ended up cutting off maybe like 1/8 of an inch. But I forgot to cut them both. So I will have one that comes out a little higher than the other, but I don't really think it's that noticeable. But it was already glued together and set, and I didn't want to try cutting off something that was already glued, and since I used the wood glue, I didn't really want to try to take it apart. So I'm just turning the little bed, making sure I have my line where I want it. Kind of pressing on it all to make sure it's going to hold together. And that's what I'm doing here. Got a glob of glue there I'm just going to take off. Just making sure it's lined up good. The glue is starting to take. Just tipping it up to look at it, which probably is not a good thing to do, but you know me. So now I'm just going to lay it back down. I'm going to glue the other leg, and it wasn't until after I had it all there, all set together, that's when I realized that I had forgotten to cut that little bit off of that other side. And it's really bugging me because I know, I mean, if someone looks in at the bed, they're probably not going to see it, but I know it's there. And so I don't know, I may at some point go and try to trim it off. We'll see. I'm just again lining up my little line to make sure that all of my legs are going to be the same length. And I was looking for a little piece of wood that I thought I might want to put across there. I wasn't sure if the sides of the bed, you know, if the parts that are forming the legs would stay or not, but then I decided that I think it'll be okay. So yeah, I don't know if you can tell by looking at it, but yeah, the piece that would be on your right as you're looking at it is about 1/8 of an inch longer than the other side. So now I'm just going to use some more painter's tape and secure this. Make sure that it gets glued down good and straight. And I glued it so that the back of what has become the side pieces and legs is flush with the back. So I'm just going to do the same now with the painter's tape to the other side. And we're going to let that dry. Now, I don't know what happened. This next piece of footage comes out yellow. And I think when I closed my camera, I accidentally hit something with the filters. I'm not 100% sure. I'm working on it. Because as you will see in the final part of the video, I got it lightened up. But I still need to figure out exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, we have this nice yellow glow going on now. And this is where I do believe that I must have hit a button when I was shutting the screen on the camera. So now I'm just using white paint on this. And I know you see me use white paint a lot on furniture, but you know, what else are you going to use? I mean, I didn't want this bed coming out, you know, pink or purple or blue or whatever. I just thought just a plain white bed. Grandma probably painted it at some point in its life. I'm sure it was a nice wood finish at one time. And it was kind of hard getting down into all these little, you know, where I'd glued the pieces together and where I'd made the rectangles and stuff. And I'm not going to sit here and do the whole paint job on camera with you because it took quite a while, and I did give it 2 coats. I'm just using the regular, just regular white apple barrel paint I got from Walmart. And just, you know, making sure I get every little bit of this painted. And it really became a very sturdy little bed. Anyway, I'm going to continue painting and I will pop back in and show you the final result. I thought I had it recorded where I put the little pieces of faux fabric in. I didn't. So I'm going to continue painting and I'll be right back. So the bed is all painted, and I know the headboard looks wider, but once we get the bed dressed, it's not going to look like that. So anyway, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. I apologize, my last video was crap, and I know it. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope you liked the way the little bed turned out. Next next week we're going to dress the bed and see what it all comes out like in the end. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you all have a really great day. Bye for now.